Have you considered learning sign language? During the COVID-19 lockdown, there has been an unprecedented amount of interest in learning Australian Sign Language, or Auslan. One problem learners of Auslan often face is a lack of good quality Auslan input and ability to practice their signing. The Auslan Community Data Portal allows users to view and record their own Auslan videos.
I can see what the video is meant to mean, who the video is by, current ratings, metadata, writing comments. When they go to record, they are taken to the screen where they can start recording. They can record a message, stop recording. They can actually play back the message that they have just recorded. They can then try to write what they were trying to say. So in that case, I was trying to say hello.
The video upload option allows users to provide the metadata to help learners understand what's going on in their videos. This allows users to practice their signing and reinforces some of the lessons around Auslan hand shape, movement, orientation, location, and expression. Users can then view videos from the homepage, as well as searching according to English translation, Auslan hand shapes, locations of sign, and movement. The Auslan Community Data Portal is not just for learners. The main reason problem owner Jessica requested it to be created is so that she can collect data for machine learning use. This data will then be used to create AI technologies for sign language, similar to tools like Google Translate or Siri. In order to create the Auslan Community Data Portal, as you've just seen it, we ran through a design process that involved identifying user stories for a range of personas or roles, which helped us to figure out what is the functionality. We then created a MVP matrix, page flow, and drilled down into the metadata details that we're going to need for videos from both the perspective of learners and machine learning. There are some important acknowledgements to make before we finish this video. Firstly, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this video has been recorded, the Yagara and the Turrbal people. We'd also like to highlight the tools and technologies we used in creating this project. And finally, huge thanks to HealthHack and all of their sponsors for the opportunity to put this project together. Thank you.
I'm going to pick the sentence, "I love bananas," which was requested in chat. So what I do, having been logged into my site, I can press the record button. This then brings me to the page where I can record my video. Start recording. I love bananas. If I'm happy with my video, then I can say that the English translation is "I love bananas." I'm right-handed. I can think about what hand shapes I use. Points is probably the big one. Most of this happened in front of my body. And the movements, we had some squeezing for love. And we had some up and down for peeling the banana. I can then submit that. And when it finishes loading, it will be available on the site for anyone to see, comment on, and rate. As always, the demo is taking longer than expected.
Oh.
But if judges wanted to jump up on stage, we've got it working.
Jessica. So please, judges, please turn on your cameras.
Hey Jess, that was fantastic. I love what you're doing there in terms of the problem and some the different capability that you've got in there. Probably something that's come up in the last few months is the use of personal data for machine learning, especially where it may not necessarily be used for the initial intent of that. So, what's your way that you want to be able to disclose that very openly in terms of the people that are using using the data model?
Yeah, so this is part of a larger fellowship that I've just been awarded, where I'm going to be working with ideally native signers from the deaf community, expert signers, so Auslan interpreters, and learner signers through the portal, where the main approach I'm taking is through complete openness, and also having different levels at which people can contribute videos. So the intention is that anyone who wants to contribute videos to my machine learning project can, and doesn't necessarily have to be released. There'll be another set of videos where the owners are comfortable with it being not completely open source. There's something we call community source, which means that you can access it, but you have to have created an account. You have to, tick box to say that, yes, you're going to abide by the terms and conditions, and the terms and conditions of use for the data set would be around machine learning and also around educational use.
Thanks, Jessica, to you and your team. As someone who has previously studied Auslan in face-to-face class, I really resonate with this one. And as someone who works at a university, having a horizontal, non-institutional community or cultural platform for sharing learning and knowledge, I think is very powerful. And I was going to ask something similar in regards to Jason, as in you identified in your presentation that you wanted to have this Auslan Siri feature, but you didn't actually explain why you wanted to have it, the motivation behind it. I'm just wondering, my question to you, are you going to have closed captioning for the people who lip read and for the people who are hearing and need to hear the words as well as learn the signing? And are you going to have categories like work, dating, business, that kind of thing, in order to help people navigate through all the videos that are there?
Yeah, so the longer term plan, we do expand a little bit on the site that we've got. Like, the stuff that the team has made for me is absolutely amazing, and I can't believe they got it all done in like basically 4 days. But yes, there would be an idea for perhaps some tag categorization. I'd also love to have the video upload interface be a bit more in-depth around not just here's the place you can upload your video, but providing different prompts. So whether that prompt would be, here's someone else's video, now you copy it. Here's an English word or phrase, now you sign it. Here's someone else's video asking a question, respond to it, so that we could see different levels of Auslan skill you're continuing to learn and expand. I was not intending to have sound or captions, partly because of the way the missions are set up. I feel like try to make it as minimal number of missions as possible. But the fact that we're asking everyone to provide the English translation means that if you don't understand what the sign says, you've got to just scroll down the page a little.
Like a transcript aspect, is that right?
More of a translation than a transcript.
Okay.
In the sense that English word order is not always the same as Auslan word order.
Yep.
One of the things that I'm looking to do with the machine learning aspects of my fellowship is have a segmenter. So there could be an aspect where the segmenter suggests this is one sign, and a interpreter, machine learning interpreter, suggests this is what I think this sign means. That we could have as another level of test your Auslan competence. Do you agree? Do you think this is correct? And get then a learning opportunity for both a learner signer and a machine learning process.
Just ask her question. I've got one more before we finish.
Thank you. So great job, Jess. This is a really, really cool innovation. I also like how the dual purpose that you mentioned of obviously being an app for people to learn, but then the aspect of machine learning that you want to apply. So have you run some tests? Like, do you know how much data you need to be able to, say, predict a sentence? Or have you run those sorts of tests to figure out just what capacity you need before you can be the Google Translate for Auslan?
Yeah. So with most machine learning stuff, as much as possible seems to be the magic number.
Yes.
On the other side of this project, I will be hiring interpreters and will be hiring deaf consultants to come on board to help create videos as well. I've also got permission from Channel 7, of all people, and I'm seeking permission from the ABC to get their live streamed broadcast Auslan interpreted press conferences as yet another source of data. So it is kind of a case of collect as much data as I possibly can, focus on vocabulary that I am able to collect as a starting point, and longer term, hopefully end up with a big, rich data set, properly coded, so that we can, even if we don't have everything to start with, we've got a basic vocabulary to start with that we can continue expanding.
But it sounds like with that kind of pilot data that you're collecting, especially with professional signers, that's almost like the kind of gold standard data set to collect too, right? And once you have people who are learning, you're adding a lot more noise in there. So that seems like a really good strategy to start with. Fantastic, great.
Final question, Jess. I work exclusively with people who don't speak English as their background, and humour, slang and swearing is a critical part of learning a new language. And I'm just wondering how your team, the discussions in relation to obscenities, profanity and that kind of thing, which is very important to learn and you need to learn it, how are you going to do that in a video format for the general public?
So there's a couple of things here that I'm hoping will help to address that. One of which being having a, because it's open, anyone can upload any video that they want. So one of the things that I would like to have is the ability to flag video as inappropriate. So that doesn't necessarily mean that someone said something obscene, as long as they said it in Auslan and it's a valid learning video. But if it's something that, say, isn't Auslan or is particularly problematic, then the admins have the ability to review the video, perhaps edit or take down, so that we've got stuff in there which is valid lessons, but not going to be upsetting and not going to be, you know, rubbish and non-Auslan video.
Conversation to have around code of conduct, because it's quite a political issue in regards to who's monitoring that kind of thing.
Yeah. Another feature that I've got is we get your date of birth as sign up. That is solely to figure out what age you are. So you could have perhaps age appropriate filters. So if, say, a parent and child are learning Auslan together using this tool, and we've sensed that, say, there's a 6-year-old, maybe we filter out the profanities. Versus the 16-year-old who's going to be quite keen to learn some of the profanities, then we'll leave it in because that will be a motivating factor.